What if someone told you that your brother, assuming you have one, killed someone? A brother you know inside out because you've been looking after him since he was little. Would you believe it? That's exactly what I just heard. They told me my younger brother, who sometimes even hesitates to approach people, just decapitated someone in broad daylight. And the amusement park staff, who were running away from where it supposedly happened, made me really worried. Soon, I saw Danny, surrounded by police officers, scared, confused, with an axe in his hand. "I don't understand how this happened," he croaked. "Please help me, I didn't mean to do it." I knew that was true, but everyone else thought differently. The victim's new wife, Cynthia, was hysterical, cursing Danny because he was the one who took her beloved Matthew's life. He got on the Tunnel of Horrors ride with his head, and came out, mind you, without it. It all happened at the amusement park where my brother and I work. I'm a cashier, and Danny played the role of the maniac from Scream. In the Tunnel of Horrors, he enthusiastically scared visitors, waving an axe. But it was fake. A prop that the actor hits someone with, and then fake blood splatters out. At least, that's how it was until today. What happened now, it looks like I'll have to find out myself, before Danny's already tough life gets completely ruined. Because besides me, no one doubts he's guilty. Danny often joked that they cast him in this role to save on makeup. His face has been disfigured since birth. Due to a genetic defect, he had a cleft lip and distorted muscles, making his face quite frightening. So the dimly lit Tunnel of Horrors was pretty much the only place where Danny could find a job. It was also in this park that he once fell in love, with Cynthia, the same Cynthia who just became a widow. Danny never had any illusions that he had a chance with the blonde beauty and popular blogger that half the town was crazy about. For him, it was something platonic, his first love, a dream girl. He admired her beauty from a distance, though sometimes he did send anonymous gifts, like flowers or an occasional basket of fruit. Once, he even sent her a cheap silver pendant. I scolded him for that. We live together, and sometimes money is really tight. Cynthia was flattered by these secret gifts, but eventually, one of the couriers spilled the beans that they were from that guy with the weird face, Danny. Our town is small, everyone knows each other, and Danny is one of a kind. Cynthia, being a kind soul, flirtatiously thanked Danny on social media for his affection and asked him to stop sending gifts because she was getting married. Since then, the whole town has gossiped about Danny's feelings. Matthew, Cynthia's fiancé, had been stringing her along for a while without proposing. He just doesn't love her, you understand? He never loved her like I do. He... Poor Danny sobbed on my shoulder, and I tried my best to comfort my brother. I shared his opinion about Matthew, though, as he was indeed not the best character. A cocky, pretty boy who squandered money on cars and fun. Though he could afford it, being the co-founded The Slaughterhouse, which he founded together with his partner and successfully sold meat produce throughout the region. The day after the wedding, the newlyweds came to the amusement park. That's when Matthew got into the cart for that very tunnel ride. Later that night, the townspeople were horrified, savoring the news and talking about what unrequited love does to people. But, first of all, Danny can't lie. Secondly, what's the logic of that? Why would he do something like that in public, where he'd get caught immediately? The investigator said Danny would have to undergo a psychiatric evaluation, claiming I just didn't want to see the obvious. That jealousy drove him mad, and logical thinking isn't typical in such cases. Danny and I lost our parents early. Since I turned 18 and he was 6, I've raised him on my own, and I've never left him in trouble. But I don't have money for a lawyer, so I decided to find the real culprit myself. I'm sure someone used Danny to carry out their murderous plan. When I was allowed to see my brother, I asked if anything strange had happened in the past few days. Danny looked crushed and didn't want to remember anything. He kept blaming himself for not noticing the switch when he picked up the real axe instead of the fake one. But then he recalled something odd. Cynthia and Matthew came to the park as newlyweds. As a wedding gift, the park usually closes for a few hours so the couple can have fun. It's a long-standing tradition at our amusement park. The lovebirds were hugging and holding hands. Danny saw them before he went into the tunnel. But for some reason, Matthew was riding alone in the cart. Why didn't Cynthia sit with him? That's interesting, I thought. Now she'll inherit all of Matthew's wealth, and the murder will be pinned on her quirky admirer, madly in love with her. How convenient. To make Cynthia talk to me, I had to threaten her. I said I'd post a video on social media of her getting sick on a kiddie carousel after drinking too much with her friends. Danny had accidentally filmed it, and for some reason, I hadn't deleted the video. Finally, it came in handy. When I asked why she didn't get in the cart with Matthew before the murder, Cynthia said she was distracted by a strange phone call at the last moment. Matthew went on, and she stayed behind to answer it. Some stranger claimed to have her private photos. As proof, he sent one of them and demanded $200,000, or he'd post the photos online. A scandal is inevitable, and Cynthia can't tell the police. Or those photos will definitely end up online. The call came from a hidden number. I noted the exact time in my notebook. It was 11:27. And by 11:30, the tragedy had already happened in the tunnel. Could the blackmail and Matthew's murder be connected? Could the perpetrator really know when to call to keep Cynthia from sitting next to Matthew, so the axe would hit his neck? I shared this theory with Cynthia and suggested a deal. She'd let me look through everything in their house, including Matthew's personal belongings. And I'd not only find the real killer, but also help her with the blackmailer, even if it's just a coincidence. She agreed. And then I remembered all the detective shows I'd watched. First, I checked Matthew's phone, but found nothing suspicious. Next, I looked through his laptop. But when I got to the messages, I hit a password. Without batting an eye, Cynthia quickly entered some numbers. At my silent question, she said, "I figured it out a long time ago. Had to keep an eye on whether any of his affairs were getting serious." My eyes widened even more. Cynthia explained that she had known about Matthew's affairs for a long time, but she was sure he only loved her. So she waited for him to get it out of his system. After such honesty, I thought Cynthia might have organized the murder. But would she have let me in if she had? Only if she knew there was nothing to find. The laptop indeed had chats with different women. But I found there something quite unexpected, a quarrel with Carter, Matthew's business partner. Matthew openly mocked his friend, saying he had tricked him like a naive child, and that he should take it as a friendly lesson, proving he wasn't ready for big business if his partner could quietly take his share of the money. In response, Carter promised revenge and to get his money back. So could Carter be the blackmailer? Cynthia cursed. She was only interested in Matthew's communication with women. She didn't care about Carter. But did he have enough motive to kill his partner? That evening, we waited for the blackmailer's call together. Finally, an electronic voice on the phone told us where to leave the money, reminding us that contacting the police would only provoke him. The drop-off point was a nearby park. We filled a bag with cut-up paper and headed there. Cynthia hid the bag in a trash can, the third one from the start of the Plane Tree Alley. And then she went home. This was done to ensure the perpetrator had no doubts about safety if he decided to follow her. Meanwhile, I sat with my camera on, comfortably hidden in the bushes. No one showed up for a long time. Then there was some movement at the start of the alley. It was a janitor in an orange uniform. He was pushing a trash bin and collecting the contents from all the trash cans along the alley. But I'd seen this in detective shows too. As soon as the janitor started emptying our trash can, I threw myself at him with all my considerable weight and knocked him to the ground. Luckily, he was as skinny as a twig. And I've got experience catching fare dodgers at work. Carter? Of course, who else could it be? There was no point in struggling. The man confessed that he only wanted to get his money back through blackmail. And the naked photos of Cynthia? Arrogant Matthew had shared them with him. He loved showing off his women to his friends. But I was interested in something else. Danny, did he set up my innocent brother? Carter protested. He had been with friends all morning on the day of the tragedy, at the birthday party of one of them. It was at the vegan cafe a block from the amusement park, and he hadn't left. This could easily be checked by the cameras. Carter listened to my theory about the axe switch and noted that the killer had to know exactly where and when Matthew would be. And Carter couldn't have known that. They hadn't spoken since their quarrel. It was true. I had checked Matthew's phone. So was my investigation at a dead end? Or did I miss something about Cynthia's involvement? The next morning, I went back to her place, determined to get to the bottom of it this time. First, I played the angel and reassured her that Carter wouldn't bother her anymore because I had filmed him yesterday and threatened him with the police. Then I asked to look through Matthew's things again, but I was more interested in something else. Last time when I was here, citing a plumbing issue, Cynthia had almost pushed me out of the bathroom I was about to enter. Was she hiding something in there, or did she really use her neighbor's bathroom to do those things? I needed to check it, so asking her to get me some water, I quickly darted through the coveted door. Think, woman, think. Where would you hide something important? Of course, where no one would want to look. I overturned the laundry basket, and among the rags that fell out, I found... Holy heavens, the fake axe. It hadn't been found at the crime scene. But before I could react, Cynthia burst into the bathroom. With a scream, I lunged at her and grabbed her by the collar, trying to shake a confession out of her. Cynthia, was that you? Did you set up Danny? But the bewildered blonde stammered, I was set up just like Danny. A few days ago, when Cynthia returned home in the evening, she saw the lock on her door had been picked. As she was dialing 911, she noticed the axe. She immediately understood where it came from and got scared. How was she supposed to explain the mysterious appearance of the crucial evidence in her house to the police? She decided to get rid of it, but couldn't think of how. So for now, she just hid the damned axe for better times. I was about to express my opinion on her IQ level when I got a call from the detention center. Danny was in the hospital. My brother had tried to hang himself using a rope made from a torn t-shirt. He couldn't forgive himself for killing someone, even if it was an accident. No one is allowed into the detention center hospital, so the only way I could help him now was to hurry and get him out of there. I had to prove Danny's innocence because he wouldn't last long behind bars. And so I turned Cynthia's house upside down again. She stood nearby, dissatisfied, but she probably realized it was better not to stand in my way right now. I was like a tornado. Wedding gifts, cards, congratulations. After going through each package, I found a letter that, according to Cynthia, contained tickets to the amusement park for her and Matthew. It was a gift from Matthew's cousin, Vanessa, an elderly lady from a neighboring town whom few in the family remembered. The letter mentioned something about eternal love, and that the entire park would be at their disposal. And the scheduled date and time of the first ride, 11:30. Hold on tight so you don't lose your head in the tunnel of horrors. What a vulgar cynicism. In a moment, Cynthia, under my guidance, was already calling the mysterious Vanessa to casually ask her if she had organized her nephew's murder. But the person on the other end of the line said that Vanessa had been suffering from severe dementia for 2 years, so she probably couldn't even remember the existence of her cousin, let alone send a gift. Therefore, someone just used her name. Carter might not talk to Matthew on the phone, but he could have sent this letter. The address of the distant aunt on the envelope wouldn't raise any questions, unlike an anonymous gift. More so, it would confuse the trail. Cynthia confirmed that Carter knew Aunt Vanessa's address because he once accompanied Matthew when he was paying her a visit. So almost everything fit, except for Carter's alibi at the cafe. In the evening, I showed up at the vegan cafe Carter mentioned, telling them I was Cynthia's advertising manager. I proposed a barter. The owner gave me access to the cafe's surveillance cameras, and Cynthia would film a segment there, boosting its rating significantly. She didn't know about this yet, though. And there I was in the back room watching the video. Hang in there, Danny. It's my last hope to find evidence against Carter. And for you, I'll dig my teeth into it. Carter with a glass. Carter hugging a friend. Carter pouring himself a drink. I noticed he was there without his wife and went all out. But I couldn't believe it. But Carter really didn't leave the cafe. Round after round, I fast-forwarded through the blurry footage from the cafe's exit camera, hoping I missed something. And then, in the background, from the side entrance of the cafe at 11:15, a silhouette in an orange uniform. A janitor. You're repeating yourself, Carter. I recognized you. Indeed, on the day of the murder, there were many staff members near the attraction. And people in uniforms are always inconspicuous and have access to all the nooks and crannies, even the backstage with the props. All it took Carter was to tell his friends he was stepping out for a minute for an urgent phone call, then change clothes in the bathroom, and spend 6 minutes to get to the amusement park, which was just in a block away. He would sneak the axe under his jacket and switch it, and return to the party 15 or 20 minutes later, calling Cynthia on the way back. Considering Carter himself set the victim's meeting time in place, his plan worked. And Danny was just a convenient tool in his hands. After providing the police with the gathered evidence, I brought Danny home. My brother is finally safe, and the real criminal will face justice. Matthew and Carter started a business together, but over time, Carter turned away from the idea of producing meat and became a vegetarian. He urged his partner to change the business and stop killing animals. In response, he was mocked. Later, he found out that Matthew had secretly expanded the slaughterhouse and resorted to cheaper and more brutal methods of killing, by beheading animals. Over time, he took Carter's share for himself, leaving his partner with nothing. Crushed, Carter increasingly sought solace at the bottom of a bottle. His wife left him, taking their 2 beloved daughters. Carter blamed Matthew for everything and sought revenge. He planned everything carefully, but he didn't consider one thing: that blinded by his own resentment, he almost ruined the life of an innocent, defenseless person. The story of Danny's wrongful accusations and arrest sparked a wave of discussion and sympathy on social media. My brother became a celebrity, and thrill seekers flocked to the horror attraction. And the boss had no choice but to increase the lead actor's fee. Danny stopped being afraid of people and even met a girl. She also has an unusual appearance. Her whole body is covered in snake-scale tattoos. She has green hair and a split lizard tongue. She now works at the park too, giving tours in the terrarium. With her, Danny looks happy. Well, at least in this way, life has restored some justice for him.